What? Sanju!
Let's go to Square Enix. They showed nothing. They did say this in advance. They weren't going to show anything of Kingdom Hearts 3 or Final Fantasy 15, so it's understandable. They only showed Final Fantasy Type O, which will be a PlayStation 4 game instead of a Vita one, kicking the going for the Vita. I'm surprised that system is still running, actually. It's still selling. Well, I mean, it's that people are still buying it. It's not quite selling that well. I'm not sure if I can call it a failure already, but they're not doing as well as Sony would have hoped it did. Yeah, that's it for Square. Capcom, same thing. The only thing they showed, which I thought was interesting, was Monster Hunter Ultimate 4. Also for the Wii U. Looks great, but that's it for Capcom. Nothing new, interesting. I know Capcom's quite a lot of trouble, and if it's true that they're gonna sell some of their stock, that will mean that some of the franchises will be up for other developers to buy, and I'm hoping Platinum Games will buy Devil May Cry and Okami and Feel Joe, or Nintendo buys it for them. Seriously, if that happens, let's put away aside Devil May Cry, but if Nintendo can get their hands on the Feel Joe and Okami franchises, that would help the Wii U even more. I mean, sure, Okami started out on the PlayStation 2, but they did get a Wii version later on, which some say was even better than the PlayStation 2 one. But something like Okami just fits Nintendo completely. And of course, FIFA Joe Star on the GameCube, great series. Sad that there was never a third game, because the ending up to was a bit too open-ended for my tastes. So I was always hoping, like, please get me a FIFA Joe 3, please. And they never did. FIFA Joe was thrown into the Capcom vault. Thank you, Capcom. Love you. Well, I did once. Not anymore. Yeah, it was Capcom. And then we have Microsoft. Also, I know some people actually thought Microsoft was one of the winners of this year's E3, at least their press conference. I can't judge their press conference. I'm just going to judge the games they showed, and honestly, nothing really interesting for me. They showed off the Master Chief Collection for the Xbox One, which will contain Halo 1 and 2 Anniversary Editions, which they've confirmed it. The Halo 2 will also be getting a remake. It also contains Halo 3 and Halo 4. No ODST or Reach because, well, there's no Master Chief in those games, so they're out. Kind of sad because I think those games are both great, but understandable. Yay for the giant Halo fans who have an Xbox One but no Halo games to play on it, I guess. It feels a bit like warmed up leftovers. Again, it's nice that they will have that Halo 2 is getting a remake. That's nice, but yeah, that's it. It's nice, unless they really add something to Halo 2. Extra gameplay features or something, it's, yeah, just nice. I was hoping for a bit more. They did also show a small trailer for Halo 5, the multiplayer beta, but that's it. Fable Legends. It's going to be more of a dungeon crawler like game. It can be played with 4 characters, or 4 players in total. And it takes place 400 years before Fable 1. Also nice. I mean, I like the dungeon crawler games, and Fable Legends looks fun enough. But honestly, I'd rather have Fable 4 if they're ever going to make it, and if they're ever going to do that, I hope to God, I just hope that Fable 4 will be more like Fable 1, and not like 2 and 3, but I can only hope. They also showed off the Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix, which I assume is Dead Rising 3 with extra stuff added, yay. And the last notable game on the Microsoft side was Phantom Dust, which is going to be a remake of the original Phantom Dust for the old Xbox. I would say Xbox One, but the actual original Xbox. You know, the big black one. Not the new big black one, but the old big black one. Yeah, I know, it's confusing. Still a super name, but yeah, a remake of that game. If I remember correctly, Phantom Dust was supposed to be some sort of a action advent. No, I'm not sure action. Sort of an action RPG. Then a dystopian future or an apocalyptic future, something like that. The game was released in Japan, I think, limitedly in America, but it was never released here. Kind of sad, because I remember that it looked great, but they got lost over time. Kind of sad, but yeah, they're remaking it. As far as maybe they showed gameplay, but I only saw a CGI trailer. Looked cool, so there's that. Yeah, here's hoping it will be a great game, even if it's on the Xbox One. And now we're going to the multi-platform games. First we have 2 new Tomb Raider games. There's going to be a sequel to the 2013 Tomb Raider called Rise of the Tomb Raider. I believe they showed no gameplay or footage, as far as I know. And they showed the Temple of Osiris, which is a sequel to Guardian of Light. It was a sort of a top-down puzzle action game with Lara Croft. No Doom 4. Apparently it will or has been shown at QuakeCon. I haven't watched any trailers, so I'm not sure if it's out yet. For Batman Arkham Knight, they showed the Batmobile in action, and what I could tell, it looked pretty great. Well, I can use this Batmobile for all kinds of different things. It's nice. But I didn't pay too much attention to it because I haven't played most of the Arkham games. I will at one point, but not now. But I'm sure that for the hardcore Arkham fans, they probably ate everything up, which is understandable. And Metal Gear Solid 5 got a new trailer, looked pretty cool. Well, we also got Homefront: The Revolution, which is a sequel to the original Homefront game from I think it was a few years ago. The original didn't quite sell well enough because it had an interesting premise. So Korea had taken over most of the world, or at least America, but you had to fight the Koreans as a sort of guerrilla fighter, which is again an interesting premise. But gameplay-wise, it was an alright shooter. But now the developer Crytek is behind, so we can expect the gameplay to be much more engaging. We can expect a dynamic day and night cycle in a sort of sandbox-like world, which does lend itself perfect to all kinds of guerrilla tactics you can use against the enemies. It's pretty cool. So all in all, it does look like the game that the original Homefront was supposed to be, but only time will tell. Alien Isolation only got a new trailer. They did show that you can make makeshift weapons. I think they're only like you can use them once, that's it, and you can only use them on other enemies besides the giant xenomorph. Now some fear that oh shit, the game will be more of an action game than an actual horror game. Not quite. Well, you can use these weapons to fend off other enemies besides the giant xenomorph. If you use it, the xenomorph will find you. Because you're making a lot of noise. You're like, hey, wait a minute, something's in the hall down there. Ooh, it's a snack. Because I highly doubt that they made a weapon that these makeshift weapons can kill the xenomorph. That would be boring if you could kill the xenomorph with one of those weapons. Be like, oh, the giant enemy's dead. I can just roam freely through the entire game. That's kind of bad. I highly doubt Creative Assembly is that stupid. So yeah, you can use these new weapons against the enemies. Probably one-time use only. And if you do, you can attack the xenomorph. And remember, if the xenomorph gets you, you're fucked. It's not like it can hit you a couple of times before you're dead. No. If it gets you, instant kill. Because it's a fucking xenomorph. It's a badass. Then we have 2 games left. Oh, no, actually, 3 games left. First up is Far Cry 4. Now, I'm gonna be a bit blunt here and say that Far Cry 4 is just Far Cry 3, but in the Himalayas. I believe it was the Himalayas where the new game takes place. That sounds bad, but honestly, what was wrong with Far Cry 3? Gameplay-wise, at least. Gameplay-wise, I thought it was pretty great, so just changing the setting, adding some new animals, perhaps a new couple features, because it's more, you have more mountain areas, so maybe you have more, perhaps you have climbing segments. Maybe you can make rocks fall to hit enemies, who knows. If you just add those things, then I don't care if it's not anything brand new. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, Far Cry 4 will take place in another big world where you can take over enemy bases, which are now forced this time. Perhaps it means they're bigger. We can really like big force you could go around to. It gives you more possibilities to stealth kill your enemies, which I always like to do in Far Cry 3. Of course, there are new animals you can use against your enemies, or of course hunt them down to gather materials to make new pouches or weapons or stuff like that. One thing that's this is a bit of a critique is that the villain seems to be really insane over the top like Vaas was. It seems like they were trying to be a bit like, hey, Vaas was so great, let's try to make something like him again. Again, gameplay wise I don't matter, because again the gameplay was pretty good. Just villain, yeah, I wish they did something bit new. But maybe I'm wrong, maybe this villain will be over the top but still very different compared to Vaas. It's quite possible. The only thing I can mention about the game else is that it will have a drop-in, drop-out co-op system, and of course there are new weapons and vehicles. And amongst those vehicles will be rideable elephants. Fuck yeah! I wanna ride an elephant, just stomp enemies to death, just smash them. Maybe use the truck like throw them around. Maybe like kill them with my tusks. That would be so fucking awesome. Maybe it's possible. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on this game. It's gonna be out, I think, and I don't think it will be released this year. I think it will be released in 2015. Could be wrong, but that's a game I'm keeping my eye on. Well, at least when I finished Far Cry 3, because I still have to do that. I probably still have a long way to go in Far Cry 3, but I'm just doing side missions. It's too fun. And the next game, this is the game that's, aside from a few Nintendo games, is my personal favorite game of this year's E3. And that's Mortal Kombat X. It would have been better if they hadn't shown a teaser trailer of Mortal Kombat X before E3. Then it would have been a complete surprise, like holy shit. But that's just a minor complaint, because Mortal Kombat X looks so brutal. It takes place 25 years after Mortal Kombat 9, which if you know the story of Mortal Kombat 9, that makes sense. And the roster is completely filled with, or mostly filled with new characters. Again, makes sense compared to the ending of Mortal Kombat 9, which I'm not going to spoil you just in case. And there are a few classic characters returning here, like Scorpion's returning, Sub-Zero. The Mortal Kombat game wouldn't be the same without those two. And recently they also released a trailer for Raiden, so he's back as well. And I hope he has his little catchphrase, like going, "Hayla! Put it on!" It's silly, but well, it's Mortal Kombat. It's supposed to be silly. But besides those three, the rest are all new characters. These new characters are Kotal Kahn, which apparently is a descendant of Shao Kahn. Makes sense, he's big, tall. Hopefully he won't be as much of a cheating bastard as Shao Kahn. I don't think he will be, but they probably still have a couple of moves that make you go, what the fuck, really, you can do that? Again, he's a Kahn. It's kind of their thing. We have Farah and Thor, which is a giant, sort of a giant monster, and has a little girl on his back. And they can do all kinds of combo attacks. We have Devora, which is sort of a humanoid insect woman that can use insects as weapons. Also, for fatality, apparently she has one fatality where like insects bury into her enemy's bodies, eating from the inside out. It's so gruesome yet awesome. And you have her, and finally we also have Cassie Cage, which is the daughter of Johnny and Sonya. She has inherited her father's move, so she can't punch you in the nuts. Again, come on, it's a cage. They're supposed to do that. Supposed to punch you in the nuts. The biggest difference between X and 9, or I should say 10 and 9, is that every character now has 3 styles to choose from. It's sort of similar to what Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance and Deception had, where each character had 3 styles you could switch between them to do massive combos. Here, however, you can choose one style each time. Like for example, Cassie Cage, she has one style which is called Hollywood, which resembles her father a lot more, you know, his kinds of attacks and whatnot. There is, I'm not sure what was called Commando or something else, and there was another style she had, which is Brawler, which they didn't show, but I assume she had, that means that's sort of her own style. And actually, you can't switch between them. On the fly, you have to choose one before each match, not sure for each match, for each round, or perhaps if you're doing like the arcade mode, you can choose one style, and you have to use that style through the entire ladder. It's possible. They added that. It's kind of a nice feature, it really is. And they also added that the environment can be used against your enemies or against you, like in NetherRealm's previous game, Injustice Gods Among Us. For the rest, Mortal Kombat 9 is just typical Mortal Kombat. No, it's violent, it's brutal, the X-rays have become even better, the fatalities. So again, some of the new ones, they're even more bloody and gory than previous, and I thought that wasn't even possible considering some of the fatalities in Mortal Kombat 9. But they've quite done themselves. If only they make the roster a bit bigger. If they do that, then honestly I think I already have one of my favorite games of 2015. So I hope NetherRealm Studios doesn't fuck up, and this will be another great Mortal Kombat game. And the last game I'm going to talk about for a short bit is the game Evolve. Now this game was first brought to my attention by Postal, for which I have to thank because it's quite an interesting game. It's a multiplayer shooter by the same people who made the Left 4 Dead series. The focus lies on 4 hunters. They have to take down one big monster in this really big environment. It's basically a map, but way bigger than you know. And the monster, of course, has to run from the hunters, and by doing which it can eat other animals. And when it does it, it can evolve, hence the name of the game. And when it evolves, it becomes stronger, bigger, perhaps even faster, depending on the monster you choose. Because there's a 5th player playing the monster. I'm sure that the AI can also take over, but yeah, you can choose to play as the monster as well. Eat, grow strong, which again, in terms of the hunters, means they have to fight even harder to take it down. Which provides a very interesting and dynamic multiplayer. It's something I find more interesting than just your standard deathmatch, capture the flag, and so forth. I mean, I like those, but I like it when the game does something a bit more original. This really does. For the A3, they only showed a few different versions of the 4 classes. You can choose between 4 classes, but each class has different versions of it, which again makes it even more dynamic. Again, I'm really liking what they are doing with this game, and while I'm not too big on multiplayer shooters to begin with, I'm still interested in playing this, because again, it just seems that dynamic. I also want to play as the monster, it looks fun. So I really hope Evolve will be a great game. I really do. And that was it for my E3 video. It's almost 50 minutes long, probably gonna split it up in several parts. I have to do that, I can guarantee you that. I hope you enjoyed it with all my mumbling, stumbling. Yeah, I've been out of practice for a bit with these kinds of videos. I do want to make more, but again, time, other stuff, and laziness. That also has part to do with it. I did script most of this, despite some of my mumbling. So now I'm improving, I hope. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And remember, guys,
live long and
Allons-y!